Good morning, everyone. So, if you're struggling with your practice of allowing anxiety, accepting anxiety, this video will hopefully help you identify where perhaps you might be going off track. So, where in fact acceptance or allowance is actually resistance. Now, it doesn't matter if this happens to you, this is maybe part of the learning journey, but some people, if they keep hitting this roadblock, they're not really sure why, and it stops progress. So I'm going to go through some examples that hopefully allow you to see, perhaps for yourself, where your acceptance practice, even well-intentioned and, it's a craft like anything else, has actually become resistance. So the starting point is that we should expect it to be hard. Just because you maybe have shifted into resistance, unbeknownst to you, that's fine. It's just the old habit, the old anxiety habit. Remember, anxiety is a learned habit that's formed usually over many years. So the body will try and pull you back to that habit. So it makes sense that at times our acceptance or allowing will then turn into resistance. But how do you know what it looks like? So I've got some examples here that I've just jotted down just to remind myself, because they're the ones I see all the time in coaching. And if you can identify them, you can start to go back into acceptance. It can just take us a few seconds to switch back in or identify what's going on. The first one's a classic one. The first one is waiting for your symptoms to go. So you've got some intrusive thought, you've got a difficult sensation, the heart's racing, some pain, some weird symptoms, a burning sensation, whatever it might be, coughing, it doesn't matter, it's different for everyone, as always. And you're trying to accept it, right? So maybe you've watched a video, you've read Claire Weekes, I accept it. I'm going to go loose. I've done Sam's floating guided practice. But then you're waiting for the symptoms to go. And so you're going loose, but the burning's there. I can still feel the heart racing. The adrenaline's still there. So you're kind of accepting. You're on the right path, absolutely, but you're waiting for the symptoms to go. Now, the problem with waiting for the symptoms to go is that you're taking anxiety seriously. Remember, anxiety is highly unpleasant, but not serious. So if that is the starting point, then we don't need the symptoms to go. We allow them whenever they're present. Go loose. And then we know in time the adrenaline fueling the symptoms or thoughts will eventually dissipate. If we try and wait for it, to get rid of it, to look for it, we're adding tension to tension. We're staying in high alert mode because we're still vigilant for the symptoms. Remember, again, anxiety is this overactive flight or fight response due to your sensitized nervous system. So we don't want to keep activating that, the analysis brain, part of the brain. Has that gone yet? I'm going loose. It's not working. What's happening? So that's where allowing going loose, even though you're doing some aspects really well, you're waiting for symptoms to go. Yes, they're unpleasant, but they're not serious. So if you're doing that, we have to allow them for as long as they want to be there. I know that feels hard, but remember, we're forming a new habit. In order to form new habits, we must go through the discomfort of doing something that's unfamiliar. Like when you go to the gym, it's hard. When you try and stop eating too much sugar, it's hard. You're going to feel physically uncomfortable, so you must be prepared to go through that as you form the new habit. So we can't wait for symptoms to go. Otherwise, you're taking it seriously, you're starting to get involved in it, and you're adding tension to tension. So you're still involved in what Claire Weekes calls the second fear. So that's the first one. We can't judge lack of symptoms as a success. So that's another classic one. The other day I had no symptoms, but now I'm practicing, I'm allowing, I'm accepting, but the symptoms are still here. So when we have no symptoms, when we feel peace, that's the reward for your hard work. So if we keep, again, we're going back into hypervigilance mode, the symptoms are still here, or I had lack of symptoms the other day, and therefore that was successful, but now I'm not. Again, we're taking this all very seriously. So lack of symptoms is the reward. The success is allowing going loose for as long as it needs to happen as you move forward in life. knowing that the adrenaline, again, will always dissipate. That fuels these negative thinking, the unpleasant sensations, whatever it is for you. And so the peace that comes is the reward. Lack of symptoms is a reward. And of course, the more we practice over time, if we're taking a strategic approach, then we will get relief. But if you're judging your progress based on lack of symptoms, you've got the wrong mindset. You're taking it seriously. And yes, over time, symptoms will go, and that's why we're doing this. But remember, we're forming habits, a new habit after a lifetime of anxious thinking, so it will take time. So again, we don't want to get involved in symptom analysis. We want to stop that because whilst they're all unpleasant, they're not serious and we always get relief from them. So that hopefully that helps with that one. Another one I see, I think I've got two more, so this is probably number 3. Going loose and allowing, but you don't really know why. So we're so, particularly on YouTube, we're so focused on the tips and the hacks and the tools, and nothing wrong with them. But if you do it without understanding, so you're sitting here going loose, all right, this guy says go loose, allow, accept, okay, accept it. Go loose and allow, but you don't really know why. You don't understand what anxiety is. If you think anxiety is a brain dysfunction or it's really serious and complex, it's something you have to manage for the rest of your life, then it's going to be very hard to allow, go loose and accept it. You're looking for a tactical solution to the problem when you don't understand the cause. If you don't understand the cause, it's very difficult to practice. If you don't understand why you're doing it, why you're going loose, why you're allowing. We can have some small wins with it, even if we don't understand. The anxiety, of course, because it's a habit, will come back. And again, if we don't know why we're doing it, then it makes practice very, very difficult because we're already on the back foot. So if that's you, you need to, I recommend you go and look at my videos, the Anxiety Cure series, that talks about what anxiety is, why you have it. If you come to understand that, you can accept it, properly accept that you've got anxiety, highly unpleasant. You can make sense of the state that you're in, which is much easier, a much stronger foundation from which to go loose and allow. So again, if you're doing it kind of like this, as just a quick fix without really understanding what anxiety is and why, much harder, and a lot of people go wrong from that perspective. Some people accept and allow, or they think acceptance and allowance is sitting in your feelings. So if it's not serious, right? Well, I should be able to sit in my feelings and be with all my feelings. Now, this is a bit of a subtle one. If that works for you, great. If you're having success with it, great. If that helps you float, allow, accept, great. This is more for people who struggle with it. So in the guided floating practice, I never tell people sit with their symptoms, sit in your symptoms. I mean, it's adrenaline surging, it's cortisol. It's not serious, but it's not particularly pleasant. So if I'm sitting in my symptoms, it's a fine line between sitting in them, being with them, but then waiting for them to go, analysing them. Oh, you're aware of the racing heart, and then you skip a beat, and you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, and then you notice something else. So we're allowing going loose, and every time the mind starts to get involved in the symptom analysis, the sensations, allow and go loose. That's why I recommend keep going loose in the body. If you're still on the couch watching TV in bed, just go through your body, systematically going loose, gently turning your mind back to the body when thoughts or awareness of symptoms comes in. If you're out and about, go loose in the shoulders as you walk to a meeting. Walk slower, talk a bit slower. That all helps. But we don't have to sit in it. We don't have to sit there, right? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to sit with them all until they go. That again takes it seriously. So we don't have to sit in with the symptoms the whole time. If it works for you, great. But my method is acknowledging that they're there. Oh, there's the heart one. There's the burning one. There's a lump in the throat. There's the tension. There's the blurred vision. Allow, go loose. And every time the mind starts to get involved in that symptom or think about it, accept it. There it is again, go loose. The more disinterested, neutral we become towards it, the sooner it shifts. But of course, we have to allow it to do that in its own time when the anxiety fueling the symptom eventually dissipates. So I hope that one helps too. The last thing I wanted to mention is, and I've written it down, oh yes, it's gone. So if you're practicing and not really having a lot of success, and then sometimes anxiety just disappears and you're like, oh, it's gone. Enjoy the relief, absolutely enjoy the peace that comes with it. But it can mean that you've not been really accepting or allowing. You've sort of been fighting, you've been holding on, and you always get relief, even if you hold on, because anxiety, the adrenaline, again, will always dissipate. You always get relief. The stress hormones will always dissipate. But if you're doing it without understanding, you've turned into the kind of the white knuckling or the holding on, thinking you're accepting, and then it goes again, it just disappears, and you're sort of, oh, wow, it's gone. And you're sort of hoping then it doesn't come back. It means you perhaps haven't been really accepting, allowing, or really understanding what anxiety is and why you're practicing the way you do. So we have to reverse course a little bit, not that you're going backwards, and really allow, go loose, accept. And so when it goes, you can enjoy that it goes because if it comes back, you know how to practice with it. If you're not practicing with it, or you're sort of holding on for dear life through the practice, yes, you don't want it to come back because it makes it really unpleasant. You're taking it seriously. So I think that was 5 in total, 5 kind of examples of how acceptance is really resistance. And so what we're trying to do is really allow and accept the right way. No problem if that's what happens. We all go into resistance. It's normal. The old habits kicking back in to try and get us to go into hypervigilance resistance mode. So don't beat yourself up at all. It's not that you're going backwards. It's just another thing to be aware of as you continue to refine your practice and move towards recovery. It's what I help a lot of clients do in coaching, so they can move closer towards recovery. So you know where I am if you do need to book a session. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments. And again, I wish you all the best with your practice. Take care.